Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex here, and today we're going to be giving you a preview of the Canadian Grand Prix in 2013. Now, before I get into this preview, I just want to give a quick shout out to a couple of people that I've been really watching the last couple of weeks, and I'm really interested in their channels, and I just thought I'd let you know before this race comes up. First person is JP Petrolhead, or J Petrolhead, and he's doing some great analysis after the races, the best analysis I've seen on YouTube after the races, and getting really technical with all of the Formula 1 stuff, and it's really interesting and actually puts you sort of inside the teams, and it's a lot better than any other reviews I've seen on YouTube, so definitely go and check that out. And also F1 Prix, and he's doing really great montages and really cool videos using actual F1 footage, and he's putting it to good work and some really great videos. I've seen quite a lot of his F1 funnies, they're really good, and yeah, I'll leave a link to both of them in the description. You go and check them out if you want to. But yeah, let's get into the preview of the Canadian Grand Prix. Now, a couple of things that have surprised me going into this weekend that I didn't cover in the season so far video that I produced a couple of weeks ago is that Ferrari are now facing an illegal test inquiry just like Mercedes. We've sort of forgot about the Mercedes over the last couple of weeks since the Grand Prix hasn't been on, and we've sort of forgot that they really did testing, but now Ferrari are being, have joined Mercedes in sort of the investigation against why they've been testing tyres, and lots of Formula 1 teams are like, what are you doing? What are you actually doing with these tyres? Now, the slight difference here is Ferrari were using a 2011 car. I'm not sure whether that's legal or not. I can't remember whether it's 2 or 3 years that you have to leave. But, it's definitely something that could be shaping up. And the FIA might be getting a little bit mad that all these teams are now testing tyres and they don't really know about it. And also something I noticed on the BBC website was having a look was these revised tyres will be tested in Canada, but I don't think they'll be used in Canada, and we'll see what happens with them. Maybe they're good, maybe they're bad, but personally I think last race in Monaco was more exciting than Spain, so I don't know if they really changed anything there, but we'll see. I really want to have better racing, so if the tyres can produce better racing, we'll see, but if they just make it so certain teams get an advantage over other teams, then I don't really want that to happen. And one last thing, and that is that Williams have changed engine suppliers to Mercedes for next year. Now, that might be down to Toto Wolff and also Susie Wolff, who's the Williams test driver. I don't know whether that's anything to do with it. I presume it is, but Toto Wolff was big with Williams for a couple of years, and I can see him just helping him out as they're still pretty good friends. And yeah, so actually I was thinking about it. Would you enjoy to see F1 new series back? Because nobody does it on YouTube. Everyone sort of started up a series like one episode and then never did it. And I'm thinking about maybe bringing it back if you want to see that. So let me know in the comment section if you want to see an F1 new series. But if not, tell me in the comment section as well. So I think now's the time to sort of start talking about the teams. And first team would be Red Bull. Now, over the years, they consistently haven't actually been that good at Canada, and they've never won a race round here, so that sort of puts us in good stead for a race, a really good race, because normally when Red Bull are good at a track, they normally run away with it. For example, India or Korea, they're pretty dominant there. Now, I think this is actually really good. It's really good to see that it's going to be a close race. There are lots of teams up there that can go for the win here in Canada, which is also going to be a really interesting thing. And Red Bull will be fast, there's no doubt about that. They normally don't come with the most low downforce setup in the world, which does compromise them, but they always come with a setup which is good enough to get them on the podium, which we have seen a couple of times. Obviously last year it was McLaren that really got that race under control and got the win. Well, for one driver, Jenson Button didn't do too well then, but for one driver, Lewis Hamilton, he was pretty much on fire in Montreal, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him do the same here in 2013. So next, let's talk about Ferrari. They really didn't have the greatest race in Monaco, really, let's be honest. Alonso finished 7th, I believe, and obviously Massa had a DNF after another scary accident for him. I've got to think that Massa's problems were something down to the car. There's no way that Felipe Massa makes that kind of mistake once, let alone twice, and on the same weekend. you've got to think there was something wrong with the car, and I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, it was something wrong with the car, and hopefully, it wasn't driver error. But I don't know whether they released anything about that. But hopefully, Felipe Massa is totally fine and will go for the podium here in Canada. I do think that Ferrari will be up there. I personally don't think it's going to be on the podium. Actually, I don't think it's going to win. It might be on the podium, but a win is unlikely in my opinion. But we'll see. Ferrari actually have been quite good in a straight line. Obviously, they won China, which has the massive back straight. So, who knows? The races they've won so far have had quite long straights, but they've also had, you know, a lot of twisty parts as well. So, Ferrari, you know, they're in good stead to have a good result here. They're going to hope to beat Red Bull because Red Bull have never won here. So, this is really a prime opportunity for Red Bull to, you know, be losing points and Ferrari to be gaining them, and for, you know, most importantly for Alonso to be overtaking Vettel in the championship. That's unlikely in this round, but obviously in rounds to come I think he's going to be trying. It's going to be a hard one. I really want to see Ferrari up there just because I want to see a close battle at the front. I don't want to see Red Bull run away with it. I'm always up for a close fight. I really don't want to see one team win ever, and like one team go out front and win it ever. That's what I want to see in racing. I never want to see one team run away with it. I always want to see a close battle at the front, going to the last race, just like last year. So, next up, let's move on to Lotus now. They've really had an up and down year, haven't they? Kimi Raikkonen won in Australia, then hit a bit of a plummet, I think, in Malaysia, finishing about 7th, and that really wasn't his best weekend. But apart from that, he's been alright up until Monaco, where he got 10th after really big problems with a puncture with a couple of laps to go, caused by Perez. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, I think that's right. And that caused Raikkonen to drop to about 14th, 15th, and he stormed his way back through the field and ended up finishing in a great 10th position considering where he came out the pits. Now Lotus, they're going to be wanting to get some points here. They really haven't had the best couple of weekends, the last couple of races, and I think they're going to want to be able to go for the win here. And who knows, if they bring the right setup, you know, package, they probably could be going for the win here. To be honest, last year they finished in 2nd position, which was absolutely amazing. Grosjean did a sterling effort to come home 2nd, and I think if they play the strategy cards right, once again, they can get on the podium and hopefully go for the win. I honestly think 5 cars can go for the win here in Montreal. Sorry, I'm about to say Monaco. That was a couple of weeks ago, Alex. That was a couple of weeks ago. I think there's 4 or 5 cars that can go for this win, and it's really good to see. And I think Lotus, both of the cars are up there going for the win. At least the podium, I think, is their aim. But we'll see in free practice on Friday what happens, and hopefully as many teams as possible are up there fighting at the top. Next, let's talk about Mercedes. They've had a hugely up and down year. Even in comparison to Lotus, they've had poles in 4 of the races, but they've only converted that into 1 win, and that's when you're like, the tyres have got to do something to do with that. And luckily around Monaco there isn't a huge amount of opportunities to overtake, so they did get the win there. I honestly think even if Vettel was pushing all the way to the end, he wouldn't have been able to catch Nico Rosberg, and I honestly think that Hamilton probably could have been ahead of, you know, Vettel quite easily, but, you know, the jump in the pit stop, whatever, things happen. This is motor racing and you can't stop them happening now that it's over. But Mercedes looked very fast there. I think they were the class of the field, but also Nico Rosberg was arguably, and in my opinion, he was the driver of the day by far. Nobody was anywhere near him in my opinion, and it was good to see that he got a win finally, his 2nd win ever in Formula 1, and I think that puts them in good stead for Canada. A lot of people saying it's very similar conditions to Monaco, but the track is completely opposite, if that makes any sense. It's not a hugely high degradation circuit, so you could probably get away with only doing 1 or 2 stops, and that sort of puts a little bit of pressure off of Pirelli to not have to perform so much. And so we'll see. I do think this could be another Mercedes pole. I wouldn't be surprised to see another Mercedes pole this time. I think it might go the way of Hamilton, just because he's a bit more of a specialist around Montreal. but the thing is saying that everybody said that Hamilton was a specialist around Monaco, and he pretty much got dominated by Rosberg all weekend. So we'll see. It's definitely going to be another thing we'll be looking at in Friday practice, but I do expect Mercedes to be up the front going for the win. So the next team on the constructor standings is Force India. Di Resta and Suttel putting in some really good performances this year. Di Resta obviously with his highest finish to 4th. Suttel with an immaculate drive in Monaco just a couple of weeks ago to finish 5th. And that probably could have been even more if he'd got past them earlier. But obviously in Monaco it's near impossible to overtake. But obviously some drivers showed that you could do it, and it actually wasn't that hard. People just didn't want to crash, I think was the main thing. But Prix wasn't scared of doing either. He did make contact and all that. But Force India, they have got a good chance here in Montreal to maybe pick up a podium. Fingers crossed, I'm a Force India fan, and I would love to see them on the podium here in Canada. They've been performing really well this year. This is the best car that Force India have ever made. It's better than the McLaren. I think that's the first time they can actually say they have a better car than the McLaren consistently for the first couple of weekends. Suttel and Di Resta really doing well in the championship as well, which is good to see. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them up there in the top 5. One of them, I mean, it's kind of hard. I don't think either of them are particularly good at Montreal, but we'll see. One of the drivers I think will be up there fighting with the big teams that have big resources, and it will be good to see because Force India are the little team throwing a fight to the big team, and I think that's always really great to see. Now, they will be getting points, I'm pretty sure, unless they have problems, because pretty much every weekend, every race they've not had problems, they have scored points. So we can tell that, pretty easily. But it's going to be interesting to see. I do hope they get up there. Maybe even a podium. Who knows? It's going to be a tricky one for Force India to get anything, as there are so many teams that can get in the points this weekend. Next up, McLaren. Now, I honestly think this is their first opportunity they can actually go for a podium position finish. Mercedes, obviously, up and down all year, but McLaren have been consistently about 8th, 9th, 10th. So I think finally in Monaco we saw a bit more pace, especially from Perez. But, Button got the result at the end of the day. I think it was 6th position. So, definitely that is something to watch out for this weekend. McLaren, we haven't really known this year how they've been on the aero downforce they've had, and I'm not really 100% sure what sort of where they're at, because I don't think they actually have much downforce. So we'll see. I think this is actually their first opportunity to go for a podium, but then again, when I say these things, I normally get it completely wrong. Now, in the video in the background, I'm just waiting up for my dad to overtake me so I can just chase him down and actually do a bit of racing, because obviously we haven't got much time in the video left. So I just wanted to make my karting a little bit more interesting, and I thought it might make the video a little bit more interesting as well. But so McLaren, they've definitely got a good chance for solid points this weekend. Toro Rosso, now they're generally good in the last couple of years. We'll just take as evidence that they've been pretty good in a straight line, and Montreal will be a prime opportunity to get good points once again. But I've been saying so many teams have been able to get in the points, but that is the realistic goal here. 7 teams, I think, can be going for points, and obviously that's 14 drivers but only 10 points playing positions, so it's going to be really interesting. Toro Rosso, also another team that are not funded very well and making a bit of a fight, and actually not that far off the pace of the McLaren, so we'll definitely see that. Hopefully they will score points, but I want everybody to score points, and I just wanted to make it a close battle at the front, really. Next up, Sauber. Now, I don't know what's happening with Sauber, to be perfectly honest. They just seem to be about 12th, and that's not enough, is it? That's not enough for points. And I think this weekend they might even be further back, but they also could be further forward, depending on how good their setup is here. Now, this is where Sauber could really change the season for them. If they can get a good result here, they could really, maybe get a couple of extra sponsors on the car and actually just get a bit of money together to get their resources going again. This time last year, they had got a podium. This was their second podium of the year. Obviously, they got their first podium back in Malaysia last year. So at this point in the season, in 2012, they'd already got 2 podium positions, and this year, I think they've only got about 5 points. So that's a huge difference for Sauber. And if they get the strategy right, they get the aerodynamics set up right, the gears and everything, they could get points, but I do think it's unlikely. But obviously, it'd be nice to see them back in the points again after so many races without points. Williams, they've had a pretty torrid season, no points so far. They both their drivers have finished 11th. Maldonado with a huge crash in Monaco when Chilton slightly moved across on him, and Maldonado got the worst of the damage in the tyre wall at quite some speed. I think even to this week, he's saying that he's feeling a bit of pain in himself after the crash, but hopefully he recovers fine for Montreal. Now Williams, it's a tough one. They really have showed they haven't really got any downforce, so this could be the track that maybe pulls them a couple of points, but there are so many teams this weekend that are going to be strong in my opinion. It's going to be hard for any team with little budget to be up there. And talking about teams with little budget, Marussia, they've been fast this year in certain stages. In Australia, I always point this out, but Bianchi was only 1/10 of Vettel's fastest time over the race. And Chilton has got a lot better in my opinion since the start of the year. His confidence has grown massively in the car. Oops, sorry, I hit my desk. And his confidence has grown massively. I honestly think now he's on terms with Bianchi pretty much. Bianchi has some stellar pace at certain stages of the race and in qualifying, but I think Chilton is only within a couple of tenths of a second now, so he's definitely getting closer, which is good to see. Now, the slowest team on the grid probably at the moment is Caterham. Van der Garde had a stellar performance in Monaco until he had problems towards the end of the race, but Caterham are looking faster than Marussia at certain stages, but it's going to be a good fight to see here. And yeah, so Caterham and Marussia will be the fight at the back. We'll see. Hopefully it's a good race between them. And yeah, that is pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed and you're still watching to this stage, I'd really appreciate a like on the video. That'd be wonderful. And yeah, so thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Tomorrow should be something special. It's my 500th. So yeah, have a wonderful day. It's been Alex. I'm out of here. Goodbye.